The inheritance of $10 million from our parents will be all mine. It's obvious that our parents, who care more about me than someone as unattractive as you, would want me to inherit everything. My sister didn't help at all with our parents' funeral after their sudden deaths. Yet, as soon as it ended, she started discussing the inheritance. What she insisted was hardly acceptable, though. Fine by me. You can have the entire inheritance, but just don't ever contact me again. Who would want to? You don't seem to realize that you're the one being cut off, not me. I turned my back on my sister as she laughed mockingly. I had lost my sister following the loss of our parents, but I felt no sadness. I am Hillary. I'm a 35-year-old office worker. Both parents started their own companies and were entrepreneurs launching new ventures. Thanks to them, both my sister Megan and I graduated from private high schools and universities. After university, I joined the company where I work now. But Megan never looked for a job after graduating. She just roamed around, occasionally working as a part-timer or a temp worker, without any real consideration for her future. Her actions were always impulsive. Still, our parents indulged her, always providing money for her escapades and living expenses when she wasn't working. They told me to plan my life carefully and manage my finances. Yet they never held Megan to these standards. The reason was simple. Megan had a very pretty face. She inherited our mother's large eyes and double eyelids, our father's sharp nose and beautiful eyebrows, and even our grandmother's good figure, making her a beauty that turned heads everywhere she went. Loved by everyone and confident, Megan was always popular and charming wherever she went. In contrast, I was born with our mother's low nose, our father's small eyes and single eyelids, and our grandfather's less flattering physique. I was shy and slow to warm up to relatives. Until Megan was born 6 years later, inheriting all the best features from our parents and grandparents. I had been the beloved first grandchild. But once she arrived, everyone doted on her. I loved Megan dearly too. She would follow me around, calling me Hillary. And I took great care of her. By the time she was in elementary school, she was so cute that she received offers to become a child model or entertainer from various magazines. This adoration, however, became painful for me as I entered middle school. Scouts who came to sign Megan would want to see me, but they lost interest in me instantly. And her friends openly stated how different we looked. Gradually, I began to feel the pain of hearing from others that Megan is cute, but her sister is. Even when I put effort into makeup and dressing well, Megan, laughing in her school tracksuit, was seen as cuter. Despite managing my diet, Megan, who would eat lots of sweet bread at night, maintained a better figure. No matter how hard I tried, I was always seen merely as Megan's foil. Worse still, as Megan grew up, she became aware of her blessed looks and started to openly ridicule me, feeling superior. In high school, her harassment began in earnest. It was routine for her to hide and take my things, or even claim the clothes I had saved up my allowance to buy. At times, she would even stage dramas in my room with her clothes, crying to our parents that I had taken them. Despite my protests of innocence, with a charming Megan at the center of our home and me locked away studying, it was clear whom our parents would believe. Hillary, you're the older sister. Don't be mean to Megan. Megan is just messing with you because she likes you. You're her sister, so please forgive a little mischief. No matter what I did, I was painted the villain, and if I locked my door for protection, I was scolded for not trusting family. Fed up with such a life, I started living alone as soon as I graduated from university, staying away from home. Despite my parents' pleas to come home, I never wanted to return to that house. I deliberately took temporary jobs during the holiday season just to avoid going back. About 3 years into this life, our parents were suddenly killed in a traffic accident. Megan and I met for the first time in a long while. Throughout the funeral, Megan was constantly in tears, so I handled the necessary arrangements, crying myself too. But a huge problem remained: inheritance. As the only heirs, it was easy to predict what Megan would say. During a later meeting at our childhood home to discuss the inheritance, our parents' estate is worth about $10 million. I'm taking it all. After all, you're unattractive, and our parents loved me more. They would be pleased. Oh, want some money for plastic surgery? I don't want it. What? Megan was surprised by my response, but no matter how much I thought about it, I didn't desire the inheritance. There was no time to mourn our parents, overwhelmed by managing relatives, subordinates, and business partners who attended the wake and funeral, and hearing comments like, are they sisters? They don't look alike at all. And seeing Megan's smug look made me tired of it all. I don't want the inheritance. You can have all $10 million, but there's one condition. At the mention of a condition, Megan tensed up and glared at me sharply. I won't inherit anything. In exchange, I'm severing all family ties with you right here, today. From now on, we won't contact each other or ask for help, no matter what. That's my condition. Megan looked dumbfounded at first, but realizing the terms were in her favor, she began to smirk. $10 million and I get to cut you off? That's perfect. Why would I ever contact someone as ugly as you? Just don't come crying to me later asking for money. Ignoring my sister's mocking laughter, I left our family home. I had lost all my family members, but felt no sadness, only relief at being freed. 3 months later, my peace ended. Megan started bombarding me with calls. I hung up immediately, but she kept calling. Since I use my phone for work, I couldn't just turn it off, so reluctantly, I answered. Hillary, I need a favor. I don't have a sister. It's annoying to keep getting calls, so stop contacting me. As I tried to hang up, Megan ranted on without even apologizing for breaking our agreement. Afterward, I tried to spend Mom and Dad's savings, but a friend who works at the city hall asked if I had consulted about the inheritance tax. It's inheritance if I, their daughter, receive Dad's money, right? But do I have to pay taxes just for receiving Dad's money? When I told my friend I would inherit $10 million, she said I should consult a lawyer. But I don't know anything about lawyers, so I want you to handle it for me. Her absurdity gave me a headache, but it wasn't worth the trouble to argue. I decided to tell her the facts only. As for the inheritance tax, you don't have to pay in this case, since the amount is under $11.4 million. You can only inherit everything because I renounced my claim. I've already informed a lawyer that I won't inherit anything. So, I have no right to do anything about Dad's estate anymore. Wow, that's great. Yet, you should ask a lawyer for details. Just so you know, you cannot just inherit it automatically. When a person dies, his property passes to his personal representative, who then distributes the deceased person's assets after deducting the inheritance tax. if money in the bank is held in the deceased person's name only. Then family members usually cannot get access until probate is granted. To the personal representative. You got it? Anyway, don't contact me again. When I said that, Megan lost her words and ended the call. It seems she didn't check the facts about inheritance. If she keeps this up, she probably doesn't realize that her assumption of inheriting $10 million is fundamentally flawed. But explaining or handling it for her? No, thanks. I finally relaxed, relieved at the silence of the phone. Later, Megan did consult a lawyer. She found out during the estate investigation that the $10 million was the total value of our parents' assets, not readily inheritable cash. Moreover, most of that money was tied to the businesses they had started. And Megan, who had no involvement with the companies, was not entitled to it. Worse, she was now responsible for repaying debts due to being a co-signer on some business loans. How much of the inheritance can I actually receive? As she offset the debts against the assets, the inheritance amount dwindled. Megan, panicking, clung to the lawyer after being told she would only receive about $1 million. She kept calling me in tears. Hey, Hillary, I'm only getting $1 million. This doesn't make any sense. That's still a lot of money, like winning a lottery. Didn't I say not to contact me anymore? Despite the substantial amount, Megan, who had expected $10 million, became a nuisance with her frequent crying calls. And Megan's troubles didn't end there. Even though her inheritance was nowhere near $1 million, rumors spread that Megan inherited $10 million. She was hounded by unknown relatives and so-called friends asking for money. And even stalkers and extortionists appeared. Hillary, help me. Where are you now? I'm suffering so much. Her screams filled the voicemail on my phone. Judging by the content, Megan had probably visited my old apartment. But I had already terminated the lease and moved out. With no other way to reach me, she kept calling and leaving messages. She eventually went to the police, but since she herself had boasted about inheriting $10 million from our parents and suddenly started gifting designer bags to her friends, it was a self-inflicted situation. As expected, the rumors had spread. The police were at their wits' end, but eventually strongly advised her to move. Hillary, I've met the man of my dreams. Peter doesn't know about the inheritance and truly loves me. One day, the tone of the voicemail shifted from crying to cheery. I suspected a scam, and sure enough, the man Megan met by chance and started dating, named Peter, proposed they move in together. After learning she had substantial money in the bank, he advised against the bank's risks and suggested keeping the money in a safe at home. Megan ignored the bank's warnings and closed her account, converting most of her inheritance into cash, which she stored in the safe. The next day, the safe was empty, and Peter never returned. I was deceived. Peter was only after the money. This is the worst. My whole life is the worst. Hillary. Why aren't you answering the phone? Why won't you help me? It's because of such an attitude that you're ugly. Megan's chaotic voicemail messages kept coming in regularly. Why wouldn't she be suspicious of a man who, just after meeting and learning about her savings, immediately told her to close her bank account and turn everything into cash? Instead of calling me, she should have been more cautious about her surroundings. Hillary, where are you? Let's live together. Strangers come to my place every day. Help me. It seems Megan moved back to our old house after she could no longer afford the rent for the luxury apartment she had rented for her extravagant lifestyle. Now that she's back, self-proclaimed relatives who found out are constantly visiting her, claiming the house is too big for her to live in alone and she should live with them, which is driving her mentally exhausted. Twice a day, she leaves voicemail messages begging for my help. And finally, I made up my mind. Hello? Aren't you tired of leaving these annoying messages every day? Are you that bored? One day, I answered a call from Megan, and she seemed shocked to hear my voice. Hillary. Help me. I hate this life. I want to live with you. Where should I go? No. I made a promise with you, remember? I renounced the inheritance in exchange for you never contacting me again. How many times have you broken that promise? I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Please come and get me. I can't stand this anymore. Please help. Megan seemed not to understand my words, only repeating her pleas for help. I said no. The reason I picked up the phone is that this is the last time. I'm changing my number, so it's useless for you to call this one anymore. You're just wasting your money on call charges. Let me tell you, I'm feeling really good right now. A nasty person who always lied and put me down has cut ties and destroyed herself. I'm going to live happily, so you better do your best too. Megan's screams echoed over the phone. I thought I heard her begging for forgiveness and asking for help. But that no longer concerns me. I had renounced my inheritance as Megan wanted, and kept our promise by not contacting her. Yet, she ruined herself on her own. The thought of never having to be in contact or compared with my sister again filled me with relief. I hung up the noisy phone, turned it off, and headed to the mobile shop in high spirits. Since then, I've been commuting to work from my new home, improving my skills, and rapidly advancing in my career. My boss commented, "You used to get down comparing yourself with others, but that's gone now." My colleagues noted at lunch, "You used to say things like I'm just. But you don't anymore. You seem brighter and more approachable." Finally, I've come to appreciate myself without comparing myself to others. Although I no longer have any family, I am living a content and happy life.